What's going on, guys? Niko here, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down 3 unique Sigala chord progressions that I discovered after going through all of his discography. So I printed out the lyrics to every Sigala song, broke out all the melodies, broke out all the chord progressions, and the discoveries in here were crazy. So these 3 chord progressions, I guarantee you 99% of other songwriters and producers don't know how to create them. So by the end of this video, you'll not only know how to create these chord progressions, but you'll be able to implement them into your songwriting, into your music, into your productions. So with that being said, let's get to work. I want to quickly announce that I'm giving away a free piano lesson. So if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, comment down below piano mastery. Additionally, if you're a music producer and you want some new MIDI packs to spice up your productions, check out the description down below. I've taken chord progressions from the most popular songs, played them on the piano, so the MIDI actually sounds real, guys. Now, with that being said, let's get on the piano and start going through these chord progressions. All right, so the first chord progression I'm going to be showing you is from the song Only One, and it sounds like this. Here right there, something sounds a bit unique. What I'm going to do, by the way, is transpose this song from whatever key it's in to the key of C major and A minor, just so that we're using the white keys. So the chord actually sounds like this. Right, and what we have here is a very unique chord progression that Sigala put together because he's combining 4 major chords and actually borrowing a chord from one of our neighboring keys. So let's look at this and break it down from the beginning part. So if we look at our chord lineup, what we have is we have a C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and then we have the B diminished. So what Sigala is doing is he says, okay, I'm going to play the 4 chord, the 1 chord, and the 5 chord. And a lot of producers use this chord progression. It's a great chord progression to use. It has a very happy vibe. And he uses this in the song a couple of times. But what he does that's so unique is he says, okay, I have this chord lineup here. I have all these 7 chords in my key. What chords can I change from major to minor, minor to major, diminished to major? And thinks about it for a second and says, oh, well, what would it sound like if I took my E minor chord and made it a major chord? Would that sound good? So as we go on the Circle of Fifths, and you should definitely watch the Circle of Fifths video, as we go to the left and as we go to the right, we start adding more sharps and flats and borrowing sharps and flats. If you don't know what a sharp and flat is, essentially it's just if you have the key of C and we have these 7 notes here and you have a C, you go 1 semitone up. So C sharp, and then if I have a D and I go 1 semitone down, up and to the left, we have a D flat. So what Sigala does is he says, okay, I want to borrow a G sharp or a G sharp right here. Play that E major chord. So there's 2 different ways you can look at it. The first way, when you're trying to figure out a unique chord progression, says, okay, I have my chord lineup. Let me try making 1 chord major, 1 chord that's major minor. So Sigala says, I have this E minor chord and I'm going to take this G sharp. Now to get to this G sharp, you actually have to go over a couple of steps in the Circle of Fifths. You have to go all the way over to A major, I believe. So 3 neighbors over, which is pretty impressive that he can do that. But if you don't really understand what that means, watch the Circle of Fifths video, but it doesn't really matter for what we're doing here. All that you need to know is we're taking the 3rd chord in the key of C and just making it major. So now he's added this chord to it, which makes this unique chord progression. And that really stands out and will change up the song, especially if you're repeating the chord over and over and over again. So that's the first chord progression. So the second chord progression I'm going to be going through is from the song Give Me Your Love, and it sounds like this. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to transpose this now to the key of C or A minor, whatever you want to call it, and just use our white keys. So here's the chord progression broken down. And there's that unique chord. All right, so what's going on here? So if we break down this chord progression, we have the 6th chord in the key of C major, so we have this. Then we go down to our 5 chord, so we have an A minor to G major. And then from there, what Sigala does is he has what I call the walking bass line. Now what he's doing here is he's playing a D major chord. So what he said is, okay, let me look at the chord lineup. This D minor chord originally, which is the 2nd chord in the key of C, it's a D minor chord. Let me sharp this chord and make it major. So all we're doing is taking the chord and going from minor to major. And instead of playing this chord progression, because he could have well have done that, right? He says, no, I want to make it sharp. So he goes A minor, G major, D major, and then F. But what he also does is he takes this chord, this D major chord, jumps the D up an octave. So his bass line is going down. The bass line goes like this. And that has a really unique sound to it. And then he goes back up. But the takeaway here is that he's taking that 2nd chord and sharping the F. Now, if we look on our circle of fifths, one neighbor over is the 1st sharp. And what is that 1st sharp? It's an F sharp. Because if we think of the key of G, which again is the neighbor to the key of C on the circle of fifths, this is the 1st sharp that's used. And primarily when you hear those accidentals in songs or you hear stuff that gets changed up a bit, they're using this accidental. So the last chord progression we are going to go through is from the song Give Me Your Love, and in its original key it sounds like this. So let me transpose that real quick to the key of C major, and it sounds like this. So what Sigala is using here is he's doing a couple of things. The first one is he's taking his G major chord here and saying, all right, I want to walk this up and make it a diminished chord. So what Sigala is now doing, he's saying, okay, I have a G major chord here. I want to take this major chord and make it diminished. So if I play a C major chord, which is the 1st chord, I go to my G chord here, which is the 5th chord, and then I walk it up slowly so that tension and release. So he's basically saying, all right, I'm going to walk up the bass line here going C, G, G sharp, A. Right? So he goes, here we go. Then he gets to the A minor and he says, well, I'm playing an A minor right now. What else can I do? So in the key of C, our 2nd chord is going to be a D minor chord, right? So he says, I want to make this a major chord. So let's walk through this chord progression from the beginning. We have C, G, G sharp diminished, A minor, and then he goes, all right, I'm going to play a D major chord. And then he goes to an F. Now notice some of the inversions that I was using here to create that unique bass line. So if we just study the bass line, this is how it sounds. Right? So that right there is just a very unique chord progression. 99% of people have no idea how to construct it, but you now do. So let's walk through it one more time, and then we're going to summarize this video. So what we're doing here is we're playing the 1 chord, the 5 chord, and then we are taking this chord, and all we're doing is taking the note right here, the G, and playing it up here. So we're basically saying, you know, we're going to take this G chord and make it a G sharp diminished chord. And again, this is some, you know, tricky music theory, and I have a video about the ugly chords because I call this an ugly chord, where I show you 2 different ways to use them in your chord progressions, which goes more in depth on how this actually works. So check that video out. I'll put it actually above if it's released at this point. And then he goes from the diminished chord to the minor chord, the A minor. And then, you know, from one of the prior chord progressions, we know that we can use our second chord, the minor chord in the key, and make it major. And then he resolves this F sharp and this D to an F and a C. So overall, the chord progression sounds like this. Right, so there you have it. Those are 3 unique chord progressions that Sigala came up with and used in his music. So you know them now, and you could take these into your own productions, your own songwriting sessions, and play around with them a little bit, because I'm sure you'll get some different ideas, especially if you've gone through my other videos on how to create melodies from chords and everything else like that. These chord progressions are very unique. Most people don't know about them, but if you use them in your music, you will definitely stand out. And I'm sure you could tell Sigala has done very well, and part of that, you know, a big part of that is his songwriting and the way he uses the chords and the way they interact with his melodies. I've gotten into many videos on him and his songwriting process in general on this channel. So with all that being said, I hope you got some value out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe down below. Hit the notifications bell so you get all the latest updates. And also let me know what else you guys want to learn. I love making these videos. I love helping you guys out. So just let me know in the comments. Additionally, if you want the chance to work with me one-on-one for free, comment down below Piano Mastery. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I look forward to your piano success, and I will see you in the next video.